Thank you for joining us on the Fields Daily Show and coming back to listen to the sick picks of the week. The first one, the game is on a Thursday night. The Miami Dolphins versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Those Bengals are on a Super Bowl hangover. That is real. And on this Thursday night, they're bringing out the white color rush unis. That's going to be sick. But Mike Daniels has had the Miami Dolphins ready every week. They've had solid wins versus the Pats, the Ravens, and the Bills. And I wanted to say Cincy was going to win this one and bring the Dolphins back to reality, but with that emotional win, the Dolphins are going to come back and win again versus the Cincinnati Bengals. That takes us to England. And I was going to try my English accent, but I would sound Irish or Mexican or Italian all mixed together. So I'm going to go ahead and pick New Orleans to win. Minnesota has been entirely inconsistent in winning every other game. Great in the division games. They've won early with Green Bay and Detroit, but they're going to fall short versus New Orleans. So Jameis, even if he turns the ball over 3 times, I still see the New Orleans Saints coming out on top. Which brings us back to the States, where the Cleveland Browns will be taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Cleveland will lose another close one to Atlanta. Mariota, I see, is really coming into his own. He had 1 passing touchdown and 1 rushing touchdown last week, and the Browns are consistently inconsistent. Then the Buffalo Bills at the Baltimore Ravens. This is going to be exciting, and there's going to be a lot of scoring here. Buffalo, in my guesstimation, will drop their 2nd in a row when Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson go head-to-head. The Ravens will pull out a close one for sure at home, and hopefully the Bills' offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey doesn't blow another gasket, if you know what I mean. So what do you think about Washington Commanders versus the Dallas Cowboys? Fields Daily.
Yeah, Buffalo and Baltimore should be a good game. Now, that brings us to Washington versus Dallas Cowboys. Now, it's a division game, so it's definitely going to be close. However, the last time Washington won was in 2020 when they beat the Cowboys 41-16. I don't think that's going to happen this week. I think the Cowboys have this one in the bag, and I see them winning by 7, which brings us to Seattle versus Detroit. Now, Seattle has a bottom 12 defense, and they pretty much have been non-existent on offense. So I think that Detroit's going to pull this one off. They've been showing a lot of heart. They've been fighting with a lot of teams. As long as they can hold on to this one, they're going to win by 3. This brings us to the Chargers and the Texans. The Texans are 3-5 against the Chargers, and one of those wins was a blowout, 41-29, the day after last year's Christmas. I don't think that's going to happen again. The Chargers really want to start winning games and get in charge of their division. Although I don't see that happening, I still see them coming out with a win. The Houston Texans will still have 0 wins on the season. Now, we have Tennessee versus Indianapolis. Now, I understand that Indianapolis came out with a huge win against Kansas City last week, but that's not going to happen again. I do see another close game with Tennessee, and Tennessee is going to come out with the win by 3.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, that brings us to the NFC battle between the surprising Chicago Bears and the New York Giants. But really, which team is going to show up for each of them, you know? I say the Giants are going to show up this week, and they're going to pull off the win at home by 6 over the Bears. I think Saquon and Daniel Jones will do enough, and the Giants defense will be able to hold off Justin Fields, who really hasn't looked well this year. And I think he's really losing confidence going into this week. So let's go over to Jacksonville at Philadelphia. There's going to be an upset. The Jacksonville Jaguars are going to go into Philadelphia, surprise a lot of folks. I've been saying all season, just like the Bills, the Jags addressed all their weaknesses and their needs, and they're going to go in to Philly and win. And then the New York Jets at Pittsburgh to play the Steelers. I'm going to say Jets, 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 Jets. The Steelers do nothing excellent. And since they essentially lost TJ Watt for the remainder of the season, or most of the remainder of the season, the Jets are going to win this one. So I'm going to throw it back to Fields Daily now and ask him about the Arizona Cardinals and the Carolina Panthers. What do you think, man?
Jets, whoa, that's a bold pick, but I understand because Pittsburgh isn't doing so hot with that offense. Their defense is holding them in the game, but I can understand why you're picking the Jets. That brings us to Arizona versus Carolina. Now, Cliff Kingsbury is already in the hot seat, and they cannot afford to go to 1-3. So I'm taking Arizona in this game by 7, which leads us to New England versus Green Bay. Now, New England's offense isn't really doing much this year, and Green Bay is starting to click on all cylinders. Green Bay is going to take this one by 14. And now we have the Denver Broncos versus the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Raiders are 0-3 so far, and between them and Houston, who's going to get the first win? Russell Wilson hasn't played as expected, and the Denver Broncos have been struggling a lot this season, but they are playing against the Raiders, who have struggled in each of their first 3 games. But the Raiders are tired of losing. They are 0-3, like I said, and they are going to be at home. They are going to come out with the win on this one, Las Vegas Raiders by 14. And this brings us to the Kansas City versus Tampa Bay game for your Sunday Night Football. Now, there is storms going on right now in Tampa Bay, which does affect home field advantage and where they've been practicing, so they may or may not play in Tampa Bay, but we will see. And on top of that, Tom Brady doesn't have the offense that they have been needing lately due to injuries. They don't know if Julio Jones is going to be 100% this week, if he's even played. He's still listed as questionable. Although he played last week, he didn't produce much. They have several other injuries, so that has been a challenge for Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Kansas City had a devastating loss against Indianapolis last week, and that's also going to affect the game. But I still see Kansas City coming out with the win by 7.
Yeah, man, thanks. And that leads us to Monday Night Football with the Los Angeles Rams going against the Jimmy G-led San Francisco 49ers. The Rams put a beating on the Birds the last few weeks in beating up the Atlanta Falcons and the Arizona Cardinals. You know, these pants are really tight, and and they really have the AC cranked in here. Let me tell you. Please just believe me. Anyways, the Rams are going to face the Niners and win in prime time. Jimmy G has looked terrible so far. Rams with the win. Keep on listening right here with the Sick Picks of the Week with the Frills Daily Show. Also check us out on Anchor and iHeartRadio and anywhere that you listen to a podcast. The Frills Daily Show with your hosts, Frills Daily and Sean F. Smith. Thank you so much.